because the Ravens, they are heading home after losing to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's a team sport, but let's assign some individual blame here because there's a lot to digest as far as who deserves how much blame. Okay, so Joshua, let's start with you. Who deserves the most blame here?
Zay
100%.
Flowers.
40%
of the blame.
40%.
So here's how we got to that number with Zay Flowers there. You have a personal foul and sportsmanlike, doing your little celebration, whatever, get down in the game. You want to taunt somebody.
It's like he taunted him 3 times in one taunt.
Bro.
He pushed him, he spun the ball, and then he
But you're down!
You're losing.
Okay, so definitely don't do that. And then one of the things, Jake Butt was here, we talked about cardinal sins in football, and I said it's when dudes try to extend the ball over the goal line because the ball get knocked out, the whole deal. And this is what he did. That is what he did. And he's a young player. He's got time to clean it up. Certainly can't do that. Would you like to go with number 2 here?
Number 2, we've got to give a lot of the credit, blame, if you will, to Todd Monken. I'm sorry, but 20%, I got to give it to him because you completely changed who you were as a play caller, as a team. You were the bullies, and you got into the finesse game. And because the reason I'm not giving him the most credit, I had him at the most credit over Lamar, but because of the fact that Lamar plays in the game, Lamar has to take the bulk of the credit. And he turned the ball over 2 times. One of them, maybe you could say it's not his fault, but Joshua, like we talked about, he has to have better pocket awareness, knowing that his clock is running and he's run out of time.
Yeah.
Todd Monken has to take 20, but Lamar takes that 35.
Yeah, the 35, and I'm with you there. It's the turnovers. You absolutely cannot do it in a playoff game. The one he threw in the end zone,
Bad
you're throwing in the
turnover.
triple coverage there, trying to hit your boy Likely, and I totally get it because he's been really good. But you cannot force a football like that. And then in the pocket, I agree with you. Partially not his fault, but I'm also very much on the you need to have full awareness of the pocket, especially with some of the pass rushers that Kansas City has. Like, you don't just let those guys get up the field and think that they're not going to be coming swiping at the ball.
And as a quarterback, that interception, that bad interception, I understand it. He didn't target Zay Flowers one more time after that drive where he had all those blunders. And so now you're kind of taking a talented part of the offense off, and now you're going just to Likely, and that kind of causes interceptions. But you've got to do a better job.
All right, well, it looks like we're putting a lot of the blame, majority of the blame on the offense here, but there's still 5% left. And we got to put that on the defense, not particularly with how they played in the second half, but it was the first half that JP, why they got that 5%.
Yeah, and I thought they had some big moments in the first half, no doubt. I thought that they had a good plan for a guy like Travis Kelce. It's just the fact that
he's Travis Kelce.
And also Patrick Mahomes is dotting dudes up. Like, it becomes really difficult. They gave up too many points early in the game, and I think it kind of did force Todd Monken to feel like he had to chase a little bit, try to catch up on some of those points. And so you felt like if the first half was just a little bit cleaner, it doesn't feel like it in the second half, everything's slipping away.
We talked earlier about feeling for a head coach. The game was never far, but as football, we know that game was not nearly as close as it looked like. And it just was the Kansas City Chiefs doing a great job of knowing what the situation was and that they could just sit on the ball essentially and not really have to take the risk, while the Ravens were like, we've got to do something. Patrick Mahomes is getting too many opportunities, and they were really panicking.
And then, with the Chiefs too, there's always that idea that if they want to turn it up and they want to get the ball down the field, they can.
Because they have that experience, and they make it look so easy. They're like, we've been here before.
3rd and 9, almost 30-plus yard completion.
For the last 5 seasons we've been here. Okay, so let's get to, matter of fact, let's get to the Lions, because we actually had to break this down with more percentages because of that second half and that loss against the 49ers. And I say it that way because I'm so frustrated. All right, so I'm so frustrated as I hold my fist in the air.
It's such a small fist.
Why'd you have to go there? Why'd you got to go there? Okay, we put 33% on the second half defense, JP. Why?
Couldn't stop a nosebleed. I said it earlier. The second half defense said, we got a big enough lead. We don't have to play. We don't have to make. And then this is what I told Devin, too, just from a guy who has played on the defensive side of the ball. Brock Purdy, what he did with his legs, I think was as big of a factor as anything else in that game. and you get one time, and it's like, all right, you know what, not gonna let it happen again. Maybe you get the second one, it's like, all right,
it's like the fool me once, shame on you.
Right.
Fool me you know
okay,
what I mean?
but the third time, and not only that, but it's the third time, and my man is putting his shoulder down, taking on contact. He is not sliding.
We gotta punish him. We have to punish him.
We have to hurt this man.
He can't play the game
no, I'm
anymore.
not letting him take over the game like this. And he thinks he wants to put his shoulder down
looked like
as an
Lamar Jackson.
NFL quarterback. I'm hurting him.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. So I got to put blame on him.
And a super undersized NFL quarterback at that.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
We got to get to Josh Reynolds here because we gave him 28%. Rightfully so.
Yeah,
right,
we had to. We had to just because of who he had been all season. Even in the playoffs, he was so reliable. He was the safety blanket. He's the guy that, you know, coming from the Rams with Jared Goff, I can depend on you. And he had an opportunity, and if he catches some of those passes, this game may look entirely different.
So
he has to take a lot of that blame, and it's just like, who is this guy? Right, he came out and was a different player than he had been all year. Even in the playoffs, he had made so many big catches, especially against his former team in the Rams. And I don't know if it was because it's on the road or what the issue was, but he just did not show up.
No, it was so super frustrating. And when Jared Goff went back to him and then he dropped it again, I was like, oh, come on. And the fact that the 49ers, they were able to capitalize off of those turnovers there and find the end zone, it just makes it that much harder to watch. But who else do we have? It was a tough watch. Who else do we have to? Yeah, go ahead.
So we got Kendall Vildor on here, and you would know him.
Say his number so everybody knows who he is.
It's 29,
29,
right?
29.
Yeah, we would know him because there was a ball that bounced right off of his face mask into the arms of Ayuk.
And now we're giving Ladybug the credit. We're not talking about that.
Okay, and so that was a lucky play. Maybe the Ladybug was right on that one. And let me tell you something, because we did talk about Brock Purdy and we gave him his flowers. However,
everything changes.
One of my biggest takeaways from this is the last 2 weeks have not been the greatest passing weeks of Brock Purdy's life. I think that he threw some balls where dudes went up and made plays. This is one of them, because if that is an interception instead of a ball that ricochets off of your face mask and the play dies, the 5-yard line, again, we're talking about a different game. We're talking about the Niners going down. Brock Purdy isn't who we thought they were, and the Lions going to the Super Bowl, and that's not the way it went.
100%. I mean, he had an opportunity. I talked about it earlier. Just not being in these moments to have the opportunity to make these plays, you're just not ready to do it, and that's another example. But we have a little bit more left to give out.
Yeah, we do. Let's take a look at the list here, because we got 3 more guys we got to blame. And we got to move. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's not up there, but we did put some. Oh, there he is. At the very bottom, we did put 10% on Jahmyr Gibbs you can't fumble. Come on, Jahmyr. And he has been so good all season long. But you got to give credit to that 49ers defense, because I don't remember who it was.
That was
a great defensive play.
And the exchange on that, too. Gibbs had the wrong arm up, and there was some confusion back there.
And we don't want to just blame Gibbs. We don't know if he went the wrong way. The quarterback could have went the wrong way.
You had the quarterback on the list. Why?
Oh, we do have him on the list because the difference in the game was Brock and Jared Goff just isn't able to be mobile, and so that takes away an element of the game that can really help a team, as we saw from the 49ers. The difference in the game was the legs of Brock Purdy.
And then finally, we got to talk about Dan Campbell. We touched on him a little bit earlier on the show, and the reason why we give him 5%. The first half, it was textbook. It was beautiful football.
Running it down their throats.
Just running down their throats. And I don't know if it was maybe a lack of adjustments. Obviously, those fourth down, those calls, they're questionable.
We kind of gave him a pass on those, though.
Right, and people were going to play the what-if game there. But why else do you think he deserves that 5%?
Yeah, he coached the team, right?
Right, yeah. You lose a 17-point lead, something we haven't seen the conference championship game before. Like, you got to take some blame.
You got to have some blame.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's always next year.
I guess
Lions.
that's what they say.
Yeah.
I don't know. He
And
said it might not be a next year.
No, listen, I think we know he's an emotional coach there, and it's a tough loss for them, but I think we know for sure that the Lions, this is just the beginning.